Hello, everybody, and welcome to our last baggage claim, a journey through mental illness of 2020. I'm Katrina, and I have brought a guest, Blair.
Hey,
I'm Julia.
Hey, Blair.
I'm Julia, and this is a look at living with mental health in today's society. Tonight's episode is a really special one. We all have special guests with us. We'll introduce them in just a moment, but I just want to say tonight's episode, as Katrina said, is our last one of the year. It's a special celebration. It's called Fuck Off 2020.
That's right.
And I'm Mel, and this is Baggage Claim, and we're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are looking like a bunch of mental patients today, but it's for fun, and we thank you guys for joining us tonight. What are we doing?
Yeah, so I think really what this show is going to be focused on is like what 2020 looked like for everybody and what 2021 might look like. And I really want this show to be honest and authentic. I heard this recently from somebody that, you know, we have a tendency to like make things cherry coat everything, right? Like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was this, it was that. We don't need to do that here. This is real. And I want everybody to really express their real opinions about what they went through. Do you guys just want to dive right in, or does
Should we introduce everyone first?
Oh, of course.
So tonight I have with me both my parents. My dad you've seen before, Dennis. He's been on 2 episodes of Baggage Claim before. My mom is with us this evening, Sherry.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
And my good friend Dan is on as well.
Hello,
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you for joining us.
My turn, because Katrina's got her. Well, you introduced Blair right at the beginning. Andy's been on before. No, it's okay. Yeah. Everybody remembers Blair. He hangs out with us in our chats. This is my husband, Bob, who...
Hello, Bob.
Blair's met Bob, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
How's it going, everyone?
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is actually really special. We've never had this many people. So let's just get into it because we have a lot of questions. And we kind of want to start with, what did life look like for you in 2020? Anybody can start. Feel free to just chime in. There's no order. Hey, Lucas. Hey, Kyla. Hey, Joseph. Just really fast.
Otherwise, Katrina will call on you.
That's correct.
The teacher.
So, Julia, you want to start?
No, somebody has to ringmaster, or it'll just go completely off the rails. These are tough. Who's going first?
Okay, I'll start. Life for me in 2020. You know, it was about March 6th, and I remember that date specifically. Blair and I had plans to go to our favorite place, Disney World, and that got canceled. And it was like, you know what? I think this is like real life now. We got to like stay in, hunker down, get going. It's 11 months later. And in that time, I've become a kindergarten teacher, which who knew that would happen? And I've started doing many Legos and miniatures and anything I can get my hands on to keep my mind occupied. It's been a shitty year, guys. It hasn't been great. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, we're not muted. Uh-oh.
No, you're not muted.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap. I guess we're going next.
Go ahead.
What has your 2020 been like?
What is my 2020? Well, let me tell you, it's been much the same as it was prior to 2020 since I was deemed as an essential worker. So I work every day just like I did prior to anything happening. So
we were able, with my condition, my medical, because I am immune compromised during the initial lockdowns, to get, he got quite a bit and some concessions were made. I'll give his company some credit for not being totally out there. But in general, I mean, it was weird. But we had actually fun during quarantine. We got a lot done around the house. We've only lived here a little over a year. So we were upcycling and repurposing a bunch of stuff around the house. We planted our garden. But
the garden was great. Did some canning. Yeah, I mean, it was weird. When
March
they did
25th.
Yeah,
March 25th was our date.
When they
Oh,
the stay-at-home
No,
order.
our stay-at-home order, I know it because this is one of my biggest disappointments of the year, was that we were all going to get together, me and my cousins and my best friend and a whole bunch of people that all live in New England. We were that weekend headed onto planes to have our first meetup in 20 years. And we literally canceled.
Wow.
We were having a discussion up to the 25th, and it was one of those things where my cousins and my sister were like, you cannot be on a plane anyway. We all have kids. You have immune issues. Like, we can't do this. And it was real bummer. I mean, we did start a group chat, though, so we'll talk about some of the ups and downs there. But that's kind of where it was. So
Yeah, I mean, mine, they let me, I got 6 weeks when they did the initial shutdown to hang out again. All kinds of weird stuff happened with everything, though, because like they took away all of our vacation time. We all kinds of companies were trying to.
Yeah, there were a lot of illegal things going on in the
Oh
state
yeah,
of
I
Michigan.
mean, so companies were trying to work their way through whatever was happening. So, but again, I think that we managed pretty well and did.
Your company is
great.
still privately owned, and I think that
Yeah.
makes all the difference
Yeah,
for us.
for sure.
So
Wow.
We there's a lot that we did starting in March. The first week of March, we were still kind of out and about and wondering what the heck is going on. In fact, we were at the convention center in Orlando with my niece's national volleyball tournaments. And I remember walking through there were volleyballs in the air for as far as the eye could see, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls. It's girls volleyball. And I remember thinking, this is what it's like in an arena when, like with Katrina, when everybody had to go and live together, and the bathrooms and the food sourcing that they were doing there, and people everywhere. And I thought, my gosh, with what's the news is beginning to say, this is where some people could end up, where this is communal living, getting away from a natural disaster kind of thing. And I started to have a panic attack because I realized, my gosh, there are people in our country who have actually lived through this kind of living arrangement. And then they left, and I think it was at the end of that week that we went into lockdown.
Within days, the entire building. The building was so large. This is at the Orange County Convention Center. They had over 70 games going at once under one roof.
In the same room. In the same room. So it was like this altered universe, and then knowing that out in the world was this thing happening. And so we settled in right after they left, and we pretty much went into full-time quarantine and have food delivered, Amazon delivered for supplies. I really did go into pantry building of, all that, and bought as many different types of beans from East India from East India to the United States. I'm telling. So, I was East Indian food and rice and all that in the pantry. And I just kind of accepted that this is it. I don't know what's coming. I didn't feel I needed to stock up on water or anything like that. It wasn't the Florida hurricane prep that we're used to doing. It really was more of long-term living and feeling secure and food secure. And we had pretty much everything else we needed, but it has been hard. It's been an altered state of being, and it does a lot on the sense of community, and it's almost like, well, I had a life before this. I was teaching acting at the Enzion Theater, there was a director of the acting program there and the performing arts for them. Would walk to Park Maitland and get kids from the school and bring them over to the theater. And kids, we had grants from Universal and Disney to bring in low-income children from the city to teach acting. And making movies and all kinds of things that I just love doing. And that just completely shut down. So it was just like things that were very dear to my heart disappeared. But and we've all been safe. We've all been healthy. No one in our family has been ill. And everyone in our extended family has kept their income going. So that has been a blessing too. And I mean that, a real, because the financial situation is devastating that, people are dealing with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to add anything?
I think there's other people.
Okay.
I mean, that summarized a lot of our.
We did have a dear friend who's like family who was in assisted living, and we weren't able to see him. And so we knew the pain of the isolation of the elderly and not being able to connect at all. And that was very hard.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, did Dan tell us how he was managing this year? Or?
No, I was waiting for everybody else to finish theirs.
I'm not jumping you, Dennis, am I? Just knock me.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say one thing that I can add anytime.
All right. Dennis knows the drill. He's an old hat at this now.
Go ahead, Dan.
The first part of the year, my kind of story starts at the beginning of 2019, but early part of January, February, there's a lot of stuff that was going on at work that I basically got overwhelmed at work, and unfortunately ended up having to admit myself into through the ER for mental health issues. And that, it was kind of a double-edged sword. It was a good thing, but I had to go through it to get out the other end. I was never, and we'll probably touch on that a little bit more as the discussion goes on. But all of the COVID stuff, I didn't really start getting concerned about the COVID stuff. I didn't start packing the pantry and those kinds of things. I wasn't necessarily worried about food in general getting bought up if there was any supply issues, and everybody was going to freak out and get all of their stuff. But there was going to be backfill, so I had enough in the pantry to get through that. Of course, toilet paper was an issue. I was concerned about that, like everybody else was.
Well, that was the cure at one point, apparently.
Yeah.
So you were busy living your life. That makes a lot of sense. Kind of like that was one thing about that we all have in common for this year is like life went on. Go ahead.
So I've learned that you have to have extra toilet paper on just in case.
We buy in bulk here in advance, so it worked out to our advantage a little. We could have been selling that stuff by the sheet here in Michigan.
But once I got out of the hospital, I was fortunate enough to participate in a mental health program, and that's where I met Julia. Was fortunate enough to meet her, and she's been a great friend for a lot of discussions that I've had to have. She's helped me through a lot of the stuff. She knows a lot more of my story than you'll probably ever hear here. But the program was actually very, very good for me. The timing just sucked because a lot of what I learned, I couldn't do because of COVID. By that time, we're getting into kind of the lockdown times where you're supposed to go out and do things and socialize and those kinds of things, and all of those, it felt overwhelming because the tools that I just learned I can't use. So you kind of struggle with trying to find other tools because your tool belt just got ripped in half, for lack of a better term. But there's still things that I learned. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about myself in the past year. So, and then the coronavirus obviously gets worse throughout the year. And I'm like Mel, I have a compromised immune system, so I'm more susceptible to the goings on. Now I'm, for the most part, a healthy person who'll probably survive, but it's still in the back of your mind. There's that anxiety. And do you want to tempt fate, kind of a thing? So you do what you're supposed to do what you're told, mask up, distance, all those kinds of things. But there's always that little piece in the back of your mind that goes, am I going to survive this thing? But it's never, that piece in and of itself has never gotten to the point where it's prevented me from going anywhere. I've been able to go out and do the things that I need to do, go for groceries, go for toilet paper, those kinds of things. So at the end, it all worked out fairly well. But it was a lot to go through to get where I am today.
And spoilers, Dan may or may not be joining us at some point later on. So, you said?
Yeah, so I to kind of go with what Dan said there. So I had the anxiety that I would have is I'm out working with the public every single day, worrying about Mel and coming home. So being extra safe doing stuff. So, and I'm in a very specialized form of retail. So I'm face to face with people constantly all the time. And, some of the things that were going on, but that was always the anxiety that I would have all the time is, am I going to bring this home to her? So, yeah. And that's what, so we were already safe because of her, like during flu season stuff, we had hand sanitizer. We had, I was always very safe coming home, but it created a whole new regiment. Basically, I come home and wipe everything down and go into the basement and strip down there and then shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so. His dad works in the hospitals.
Yeah, right.
And he comes home, he has to strip down in the garage, put everything in the laundry, go upstairs with a towel, get in the shower. I mean, there's like when you're out and working, there's a routine that you kind of.
Well, my question would be for Bob, what do you do about the mask and the beard? Because that is an impressive beard.
Great question.
Well, thank you.
That's an award-winning beard.
Yeah,
sorry.
So I do wear an N95. Right. So I do wear an N95, but of course it doesn't seal. It can't seal to my face like you're supposed to have it. So I've got, our company was actually good enough to go out because there's a lot of people that have facial hair. And they bought us all gaiters. So I do a mask and then a gaiter on over it that covers up the beard. So, but yeah, I mean, the challenge is coming in, and just like I'm sure most states, there's no real clear enforcement of anything about masks or anything, even though that's the policy, is to ask people every day. I still, even to this very moment, with cases surging everywhere, is still at least a handful of people a day come in and are like, oh yeah, I've got a medical condition, I can't wear a mask. Or, oh, this the one, my favorite is, oh, I just forgot it. We've been doing this for almost a year now. How do you forget your mask? I've got 10 masks in my car. So, but yeah, I mean,
fan comments about the beard.
It is what it is. We had a friend at Ren Fair, actually. He had to judge the beard contest because he couldn't keep winning it. So our friend at Ren Fair actually started a tradition of you, John. We started a tradition where the person who wins the overall beard competition is the judge next year. So he's got a good cycle going on.
I'm aching though to hear about Julia. We have not heard from Julia yet.
Yes, we haven't.
I don't have too much to say that hasn't been said already. I would just say that most of my 2020 was spent in this odd sort of hybrid between isolated togetherness, because I have been with my parents at their house, and so we've been together for 10 months, nonstop, but I've also felt very isolated at the same time because I don't have connection with anyone else. And it's been a real struggle. I mean, I'm so thankful for them and that I do have them and their dogs so that I'm not truly alone, because I know some people have had to go through this whole time alone in actual isolation. And I haven't had to do that, but it's been a very weird sort of mix of emotions as far as never being alone and feeling very alone.
Absolutely. I think I can definitely relate to that. And Lucas commented, 2020 brought me more mental anguish to me than any other year before. And I mean, I can agree with that. Like, you know, this is so stupid, and I say this all the time on the show, but like my getaway, and I hope it was Blair's as well because we enjoyed doing it, was going to Walt Disney World. I mean, that was a place you could literally go and escape reality, right? Like, and go into this imagination, and like not being able to do that was maybe one of the hardest things.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Blair's
I'm trying to produce and I've got to
Stop
reach across the
producing.
table. Here we go. Watch this. All right. See, the problem is you have to do that. There you go. All right. Now you keep talking.
So let's bring up the next question. Everybody, like, thank you so much for weighing in there.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks for sharing some of that stuff. I know that stuff is hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So the next one is really like, what did you struggle with the most in 2020?
Which I think we kind of covered, don't you?
Okay, yeah, you're right. Fine. Did anything good come out of 2020?
We have to answer it first.
Why?
It's only fair.
Yeah, I think like this year totally. I just want to be honest. When I say like this year sucked, it was not on my mental health. It was awful. I was so up and down all the time. But I mean, I did get to teach my niece like kindergarten and like grow this bond and this relationship with her, which was amazing. And I'm so excited to go back and do. But that's something I would have never done before, ever, right? Like that wasn't my field. That was not my interest, nothing. So it's been cool to like a family that you can have come and help you, right? Like not everybody has that. So we've been so lucky to do that, honestly. So that's been really good.
I just love hearing that, Katrina, because just as a former like aftercare person, but also just, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I was like saying this to my sister is that Katrina, I don't know if she fully realizes yet, like because she's old enough now, she's going to remember this time with you, and it's going to be a turning point in her life, and she's going to remember that time that she hung out with, you know, Aunt Katrina doing that stuff. I just think that's so cool. I think you're going to find more in 2021 with that too, I think.
I hope so.
Just had to put that caveat in there because it's so awesome.
What about you, Blair? Do you want to go next?
Oh, I mean, you know.
You didn't share last time, so.
No.
It
happens all the time. I don't care. I talk enough. I don't. Yeah. No, a lot of good things came out. I mean, you know, what we started here with this YouTube channel ended up spiraling into something very big where, you know, we'll have, you know, we now have quite a lot of employees and it's gone very, very well. And we're doing something very exciting here in Central Florida. And yeah, it's just good to know that, you know, despite being trapped indoors and having, you know, a lot of mental challenges to overcome, because it is still very difficult. But that we were able to basically build a whole, you know, a company with employees to go after these problems that we've talked about on the air and try to do something about it. And it's strange because I've never been in the same room with most of my team. They, you know, because we're in the pandemic, so it's entirely been through video chats like this, and that's how I know my team. And I'm hoping in the new year that will change. I'm a little concerned it won't, but I hope it will. I hope it will, and I hope that, you know, that what we've built here will actually accomplish the goals we want and do what we need it to do.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was kind of generic.
No,
no, it's exciting stuff.
A boring answer.
it is exciting.
Yeah. Out it's good to hear that out of darkness can come light.
And also we get to spend more time.
Start a whole
with the
company
family.
during a pandemic.
Yeah, and we get to
Yeah.
we get to spend more time with our family, and I think that previously, where the direction I think it was in the United States was a lot of people were taking their families for granted, and I think this has forced at least some people to recognize that a lot of what we were taught about family was wrong. That we do actually need family, and you can't just go out there and be some Hallmark Channel version of a person who can just do it all themselves and solves every problem with a simple, smart maneuver. It's not that easy. You need help, especially with the way things are right now. And everybody needs to help each other. And that's the best way to get through this.
Yeah.
Here, here.
Well said.
Yes.
I'll get them.
You gotta move them.
Oh, okay. Who else hasn't spoken? What good came out of it? Let's see. Katrina's gonna deal with the dog here. Let's ask who hasn't answered yet?
I haven't answered.
Go ahead, Julia. You go.
Okay.
All right.
I would say I'll echo what Dan said earlier about this mood program that we were both able to do, and that it was a series of struggles that brought me to the mood program, and a lot of suicidal ideation. That was my biggest struggle, I guess, to answer the question from before that I said we should skip. My biggest struggle of 2020 early in the year was a lot of suicidal ideation. And then I was able to go to this mood program and learn new tools for dealing with my moods and emotions and thoughts. And it hasn't solved everything. It hasn't made my life 1,000 times better, but it's helped. And it's made a difference. And I think it will continue to make a difference as long as I keep practicing the tools. And, that's just up to me. So the pandemic has been a perfect time to practice because I've had a lot of unrest. And, it's something that I still struggle with, but I'm working on each day. And also during the pandemic, I definitely got closer to my dog than I ever have been. And she and I are like simpatico.
No, Blair and I say this all the time. Like, if we ever leave our dogs, like,
yeah,
don't know
they
what
won't
they're
know where
gonna
you're going. Yeah,
I'm
exactly. They
very
won't have any
concerned
idea
about
what's
mental
happening.
health and pets. Yeah, because like dogs have been loving this year. They're just like, this is amazing. Finally, the pet life I've always wanted. And like, what happens when their owner has to go back to a normal life? Like, the dog's gonna be like, "What was that?
what
Do I
happened?
need nothing
I
to
know, the
now?"
dog,
Like,
thinks, the dog thinks they've like finally given in to their wishes and
Exactly.
are following their orders finally.
and that's why I propose a sequel to your show, Baggage Claim for Pets, dealing with attachment issues.
PTSD and dogs.
Waggage claim.
Baggage Claim. Oh, that's so good.
Waggage. Oh my God.
That's
Well,
good.
Thank you for sharing, Julia. That was great.
Love a bad pun.
Thanks
like
for
that.
Who's going on next so I can
Just
put you
yes.
on the big sermon paper?
Well, I can go
I'm here
next.
for you.
Okay.
I kind of have to pair it with what Julia said. I think the mood program taught me, I learned more about myself this year than I ever knew was possible. I was astonished to realize that I was the most self-unaware person in the world, at least in my mind. So awareness for when I'm getting into trouble is huge for me, but also to be able to put into practice, even subconsciously, some of the tools that I did learn in the program is huge. So when I would have like a depressive episode, it would take me hours or days to recover from that. Now it's minutes or hours on the outside. So I mean, that is, for me,
That's amazing.
is huge. It's huge.
Congratulations. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still have to face all of that stuff, but to be able to recover so quickly is.
Well, and having those tools, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing like having those tools.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like you're more resilient overall?
Oh yeah, much more so.
That's incredible, learning resilience in the middle of something like this.
Serious.
Yeah.
That's special. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And Julia, it's like such a good influence on people, like, because you took a lot of those tools and shared them here on the air, and those helped me too. And you seem to help other people. I just love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a good program.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, what about Mel and Bob? What about you?
You want us to go next? Okay, and then, all right. Let's see.
Thanks, producer.
Actually, I was talking to my friends about this yesterday, is we got to know each other really well. I have my 3 closest friends and I have been doing media stuff forever, and we get, once a week or once every other week or whatever else. But like, it was Matt actually said it yesterday. He's like, I think the 4 of us got to know each other really well this year. And I was like, he's right. Because you don't get to do those times with your friends that you got to do when you were in high school or college, where you just got to go, shoot the shit at the coffee shop or go to movies 28 times. Or, when you become an adult, you don't have time for that stuff anymore because work and because of all these other things. Well, we've been finishing up, we watched all the seasons of Twin Peaks together, 3 of us did. We were spending, instead of 2 or 3 hours a week, which we committed ourselves to for a long time, 5 and 6 hours shooting, spending a whole day together watching a movie or going back and forth, like cooking with my sister, finding ways to bridge that gap using a camera and this format right here that we're using. But also, I can't say enough about sort of having a useful amount of time to hang out with my best friends in the whole wide world who I've known for 10 years. And really, we were talking about like economics yesterday. It was so disgusting. It was so adulty and so hilarious how far we've come in the 9 years we've known each other through the internet. Mind you, there are 4 different ones of us. We live in 4 different places. New Jersey, Rhode Island, Ireland, and Michigan is where we've talked every day, and we've had tons of little things that we've done separately, and we've drawn in a bunch of friends that we didn't get to talk to the rest of the year. John and I are he's way further along, but we started learning Japanese this year, committed to learning. And I'm definitely going to stick with a language, but I think I'm going to pick a Western one that I can learn a little quicker. For now. But John's really, he's getting great at Japanese. And silly stuff like that, where it was like, you don't usually get that as an adult, but we did. And we carried each other through this pandemic, through this little thing here. Like we did. I can't say enough about those guys.
I love that you said that, because I haven't talked to my friends more than in the last year, right through FaceTime. Constantly, where before it was every couple of weeks. Now it's every other day.
It's getting back to that time where you would call mom on a Saturday or a Sunday or something and for you, anything?
Well, yeah, sort of very practical side of this would be that we didn't do a lot of stuff. So we did a lot of stuff at home. So we saved a ton of money because we didn't go out. We can't go to our favorite places. But in lieu of that, we made things that we could do here. We built a fire pit. We would sit out at night and have a fire and have some cocktails and listen to music or listen to books.
Yeah.
I've taken, I don't know, I've read.
This is getting too romantic, guys.
I know.
He went down the biggest Viking click hole.
That's true. So
we're gross. Sorry.
Yeah, it is true.
We're gross.
But that kind of stuff, gardening, working on the house, were stuff that I'll get to it or whatever. Well, you could get to it now because there wasn't anything else to go out and do. But there was stuff that we missed.
We've increased the value of this home.
That's true. But there was stuff that we missed, that we have a little brew pub that is up the street from us. We got to know the family really well because it's a little family-owned business. We can't go there anymore now until
they're hurting.
And they're hurting really bad because they
may not make it.
Right, because they've only been open a year. So, but there was a lot of things that were awesome about that too. Is that just again being I've done so much more reading. I've probably read 10 books now since this has happened, and taken a master class on
Vikings.
right, the Vikings and Scandinavian culture, and research going to Iceland.
Kind of like Sherry's Bean thing. He's got like 10 books on Vikings.
Yeah.
So
God, you guys really know how to make us feel real good about ourselves.
Hey, we do us.
All right, well, I just want to bring up, just before we get to Dennis and Sherry. Joseph said overcoming struggles is something everyone can be proud of for this past year, something to smile about. Completely agree.
Totally.
All right, you guys, I'm switching you out of the big box and I'm bringing in Dennis and Sherry.
Yay.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I have some. It's somewhat of the opposite of you, who have talked about connecting so much and so often with family and friends. And I had a reminder as recently as last night and this morning how important that is. And I guess this ties in with what did you struggle with? My struggle is somewhat different than what's been expressed, in that I'm very comfortable in crowds and with groups of people, but I'm also very comfortable by myself, and I always have been. And I've always found ways of occupying my mind, or through reading or research or what have you. And so last night we had a Zoom family game night. And it was so much fun and so hilarious. And I told Julia this morning, I think I slept better than I have in a long, long time. And I'll comment a little bit more about that and the power of laughter, the healing power of laughter, which has been researched and studied and popularized by a writer by the name of Norman Cousins, who came out with a book back in the late 70s, early 80s called The Anatomy of an Illness. But to just focus on that, what I realized is that is the danger of being too comfortable being by yourself just because you know how to occupy your time or feel comfortable. And what I realized when I woke up this morning is how much better I felt having laughed and connected like we did last night, and how important it is to do more of that.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I talk to my girlfriends almost every day, and then we have driveway wine, and which is and one girlfriend, she's a midwife, and so she has her own practice, and brilliant woman, and very empathetic and compassionate. So her business has been booming because she got so many transfers from women and families who were going to be birthing in hospitals and didn't feel safe doing that. So, but at the same time, economically, where that works, her risk as a frontline worker she does home birth. So she goes into people's homes, and she tests herself every week, and her staff, she tests. So when I get together with her, we still, we're more than 6 feet apart, and we mask. And the night of the election, we brought out computers and a hotspot, and we were outside acting like fools, letting the neighborhood know who we voted for, because we were cheering it on. And interactions like that, my circle has gotten smaller, not bigger. It's a more meaningful contact. It's women I've known for 30 years at plus. And I have other friends in a community through the arts in Central Florida. And it's just basically been an Instagram kind of checking in. How are you? It's kind of superficial because I really don't have the energy to do the big stuff with everybody. It takes a lot of energy to stay safe. It takes a lot of energy to say yes every single freaking day to not doing a quarter of what I want to do. It takes so much energy to just figure out, do I really, does it matter? What matters today? And keeping on projects, keeping a focus on what, helps us get through. And so my girlfriends are very, very important to me. My family is very important to me, extended family. And music, huge. To just kind of zero in on and kind of let the feelings come up.
Yeah.
Do you like to do like your own music, or do you like to share around and see what other people are listening to? I don't know if that's, I know that because I have 2 friends who are just like, they're fiendishly trading music perpetually. The rest of us are like, whatever, you two, that's fine. I've never heard of that. But I can totally, like, one of them always says, I can't necessarily understand what you're a nerd about, but I understand passion. And so, like, I can understand when somebody's passionate about something, even if I don't understand all the beans. I can tell that they're exciting because, you took the time. So I think that stuff's really fun.
Yeah, and we closed down a family home up in Illinois right before the pandemic. We sold it, and it was his grandparents' house that they built, and she had a canning room in the basement, and there's like 100
Don't tell Mel that.
those canning jar, glass jars, from the 50s, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So I brought all those home. So I've been putting all my beans in these glass jars and labeling them.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's what we do. We use the big, because you can't can the big ones because they're too big. And so we use those for rice and beans and almonds.
Exactly.
And they're great for that.
I know, it's like the
dry storage is the best, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and we've gone back to some very basics. I think we're able to identify with the post-war and the Depression generation. There's a connection there, and I lived multi-generational growing up. I lived with a great grandmother, and all my family we all were always together. So having Julia here is like my life. I grew up that way with extended, family. But I watched my great grandmother and how she made it. And he watched his grandmother and how she made it. Both of them widowed very young and never remarried and figured out how to survive.
I learned it mostly from grandmas, and he was raised basically a lot of the time by his grandparents too. So he spent a lot of time with his grandparents too. I was like the last, I think I'm kind of close to the end of when that was really more common. And we still were driving. I mean, we lived in Southern Maine. We would drive to Rhode Island to see my dad's family most of the time. But grandparents, I met all my great grandparents.
And they really taught us.
Yeah.
I think for us, it helped us take on this challenge because I've seen them do it. And they lived through the flu of 1918, 1919 and polio.
Yep.
So I draw on that. And I think modeling is such an important part of our development. And I just watched very closely. So that brings me comfort. But women and the nurturing of women has been really important to me.
So I taught my sister really, before Katrina jumps in, I'm totally just going to tack this on, is that I taught my sister canning over camera this year because my mother-in-law taught me over the last few years. So, and she was like doing everything. They have a dehydrator, everything. That was her missing component. So I did get to do that even.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Next level.
So, Miss Julia, what hobbies have you gotten into during quarantine?
I'm so glad you asked. I was trying to answer Carla in the chat, and it wasn't letting me participate. So thank you for asking me. I have gotten into a lot of writing. I'm working on a few different writing projects, and What else?
Baggage claim. You've been doing baggage.
Yeah, baggage
Yeah,
claim.
good
This
YouTube
has been a
stuff.
hobby for sure. A great hobby. It's taken up a lot of time as far as researching topics each week and then preparing for the show and then actually doing the show. So it's a whole like week-long process that's a lot of fun and really rewarding too. That's about it. I haven't really gotten into anything. All my other hobbies are things I can't really do right now, and I haven't been so great about finding new ones. During this time, I've been kind of lazy about it, actually.
So there is a question from Joseph that I do want us to answer, but I do want us to get to other questions as well. So I don't know how to do this.
Just pull it up real quick. It's a quick one.
Okay, quick one. So Joseph is asking, have you guys formed any good new habits this year?
Dead air. What's wrong? Oh my
Bad
god.
habits.
Nobody,
I feel like it's
everyone's
bad
like,
habits. rather than
what good habits did we come up with? I've seen
Was
a
that
few
kind of
people.
one of our
Any new
questions?
habits?
Was something that you were keeping from this year? Is that kind of what is that what that is roughly?
I don't know if this is like a habit or more a way of life, but I've been in recovery, addiction recovery, and that has a lot of habitual elements to it that I have to do. I don't have to do. I choose to do each day. As far as embracing my sobriety and living that life to its fullest.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any good.
You tried
habits.
gardening.
I tried gardening, so I had a garden, and it completely failed. Failed completely. Nothing grew. So actually, I did get lavender
No, there was like an amazing green pepper that came
and a
out.
green
That
pepper.
was like perfect.
One green pepper.
One pepper came out that was just perfect.
Yeah.
You might find it. Hey, sometimes it takes a year or two to get your ground all nutrienty. It's fine. Nutrienty. It's a technical term.
You could also start with herbs, and I bet your niece, as part of her kindergarten class, would love, because they're so fragrant, the lemons and the rosemarys and the basil. You could do an herb garden, and those are pretty cool and easy to nurture and bring along. And then bring them inside for cooking projects with your niece.
Oh, I'm loving this. You got curriculum backup over here. You need to
Great
tap
idea.
that. That's fantastic. That's what my sister's been doing. My niece is doing science in the kitchen because I pointed out to her that cooking, and I was like, math and science, cooking, baking. She's like, oh my gosh, you're right. So I have no better habits. I've actually committed to sound editing this year for real. Like I've sat down and made sure that I edit something that we've done, some of my content, and I've actually learned it a little. I'm starting to understand it, and just crash courses in YouTube videos. But I mean, I've done it regularly. I sit down with the project for at least like 3 days a week, and for a while there, I was putting out a podcast every single week, which is really great. Because consistency is where you get people that actually tune in a little more often. And we're not doing it for money. We're doing it for fun. But it still helps all of us in some way or another from time to time. I mean, it's always our group therapy, but from time to time, it helps us do other skills too. And that's been one I picked up is sound editing. And then just getting back into language learning. It's been a long time since college that I had I've always wanted to commit to learning at least one other language fluently in my life. And I'm pretty darn close to being okay at French, but I wouldn't call myself fluent. I can read German, but I can't speak it because I have German family. And I spent like a month there, so I can understand it. I'm like Chewbacca. Like you can't understand, but whatever. That was a backwards analogy. Forget it. Who's next?
I appreciate a Star Wars metaphor as anyone, but that was confusing.
Backwards. Anyway.
What is the comment there about my grandma started?
Oh yeah, thank you, Real Spazzy, for your comment. That's really sweet. She said that my grandma started me off with basil and had the 3 branches of basil just to give it.
3 bushes of basil. Oh, is this back? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is a farming thing or a growing thing. All right, who's up? All right,
I think also with the pandemic, a good habit has been getting good rest and sleep, because when we could go and go and go, we were always going and going and going, and getting some really good sleep is kind of, you know, when you're I don't know, for me, I go to bed and I get good rest, and then I'm up in the morning about the same time. And in the past, that, you know, there was just not that regularity to it, and I think that also helps the emotional, you know, stabilization.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I,
Much more regular and early bedtime.
Of course, that's
Anybody
our
here-
age too.
I have
We're
to
the
fill in
oldest
while-
ones on here, so.
I have to fill in while Katrina's away. Is there anybody who hasn't answered this question?
I would say that for me, it was sort of breaking habits. So very structured because of work and everything and how everything's functioned. And because you have only a certain amount of time to do things, it was breaking out of that structure and kind of just following things, like going down, as Mel said earlier, about the rabbit hole about Scandinavian history and Vikings and things like that, is instead of being so structured on how that went, is to kind of follow it where it took me. So that has made it much more, or I guess, organic to me, learning about things, because as I found out something, oh, that's really interesting, I would go off in that direction and follow it so to its conclusion for myself, and then go back to doing what I was doing. There was at one point I was probably had 6 books that all at the same time that I was reading, that I would go back and forth between, because they were all covering the same topic, but all from different angles. So it was really interesting to kind of break out from a normal structure for that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Audible.
Yeah, that has helped.
I love Audible.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's one of my
Yeah,
favorite things.
Audible, if you want to sponsor Baggage Claim, just let us know. Like, no worries.
I think for me, it's not the habit is already established, so it's not new. I got to walk the dogs twice a day. But what I've learned, and it's a new something that I remind myself to do each time, is to turn off my audiobook for 5 or 10 minutes or a block or whatever when I'm walking the dog, and this may sound corny to some people, but just be present in the moment. Like now I can listen to my boots squeak through the snow. I can feel the wind on my face and watch the snow fly around and all those kinds of things. And for me, that's huge for recentering myself and gets me out of that downward spiral. If I just happen to be in that. So it's a new awareness, and I've taken to making sure that I do it at least once or twice a day as I'm walking the dogs, since I have to do that twice a day anyway.
Sure.
What was the question? What was the question?
Oh, the next, didn't you have another
If you
question?
have to
Chad?
leave something behind in 2020, what is it?
No.
Are
but
we
I'm
not doing
gonna
that
do
one? Oh,
No,
that was
because
premature.
we don't-
Ignore that. That wasn't there. What?
We don't have enough time, and I want to get to other questions.
All right.
So we're
Okay,
gonna do
never
this
mind.
one,
I don't know what
and
you're
we
talking
might end on this one. So I'm just saying, although 2021 isn't going to be normal, because I'm sick of people saying, "Oh my God, it's the end of 2020, everything's gonna be great." Like, this is not true. Okay, we're still in a
It's
pandemic.
not attached to a
people.
clock. The
Like,
problems aren't.
They're
in the-
not attached to a
midnight.
calendar. So I'd love to know just like what you guys are looking forward to in 2021, even though it's not a normal year.
Oh, do I really have to? Somebody's like, I don't want to answer this.
Somebody's got it locked up in the basement there.
No.
That sounds like a Cindy.
It is a Cindy. She wants a bone.
Oh, don't we all?
Joseph has a great comment.
That's
The
terrifying.
original Mad Max took place in 2021. Hey, It may be a Mad Max.
So did Johnny Mnemonic.
It may be a documentary.
Johnny Mnemonic was 2021 also.
Yeah,
We
I just
watched it.
I just watched it over the weekend
On
too. I was
Netflix.
like, oh my God, it's next year that all this is going to happen.
They were
That's
still talking
awesome.
about gigabytes, though. I was like,
know.
try like
I think-
I know what I'm looking forward
Alright.
to. I do, actually. And that is at some point after I've gotten a vaccine, because yes, I will be getting the vaccine if anybody's concerned. To go back to Disney World. I just want to go back to Disney World.
Well, I would add to that. Anyone who's like Orlando's like a very interesting town because it's covered a lot on YouTube.
It is actually. It might be one of the most covered cities.
If you're looking forward to the reopening of Disney, you should look at in 2021.
Disney's been open. I'm
But
looking forward to my.
exactly like the going back to that
Yeah.
life. There's going to be 5 different roller coasters that are opening here in Central Florida that are considered all potential contenders for the greatest on the planet.
I can't wait. I'm ready.
Number one
I'm
being
waiting.
the Velocicoaster, which is
I'm
supposed
ready.
to have some of the craziest drops on the planet.
it's
So
not
Yeah,
even
so
worth
that,
I
could
think-
have, that you could be going on there. Or
I
the
think
Guardians
you
of the
can just
Galaxy
assume we're looking forward to
Cosmic
theme
Rewind.
parks.
Yeah.
I
So all
don't
that's
think I've
coming
heard
there.
enough about it from you guys tonight. Like, do you like Disney?
You know, it's
Well,
not like
they
I wear
like
my
Disney?
Mickey ring everywhere.
No, here, you got to get that closer. You got to show that.
The Mickey ring. My Mickey ring.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it cute?
I'm glad you
wait.
got it closer. Yeah.
Actually, it's got a bow. It's mini.
Oh, it's mini. It's whatever. Fine, Mel. Technical.
Real Spazzy says it's like the World's Fair of roller coasters. Yes, like
Yeah.
we're going to be in the epicenter of great thrills.
No,
and
you're not.
that
Because you're
won't
not in
involve
Cedar
anybody.
Point. And that's not a thing.
You're not in Cedar Point.
Sorry,
That one
I'm
is.
sorry. Cedar Point, it's over. The crown is moving. It's going
Oh,
south.
Oh, that's really cute that they think that, though. It's adorable.
All right, well, you're up.
Yeah.
What's
So
the
the question is,
Oh.
although 2021 isn't going to be a normal year, are you looking forward to something?
What am I looking forward to in 2021? I mean, I'm looking forward to continuing doing what I'm doing in terms of like making myself smarter, but I don't know. I want Ren Fair to come back. I'm very, very hopeful that Ren Fair will be a thing next year, or that somehow I will be able to see a good number of my friends, not just talk to them on a computer. I mean, I would be up for anything at this point, but I want to get like what I'm looking forward to is kind of going forward. There's vaccinations out there starting. There's data science out there. We're gonna have to keep going to get to the other side of this. And I feel like we're in a giant holding pattern right now with
It's
just
so funny because Blair just made this. I'm so sorry, Mel. Blair just made this comment today. There's like only 1 million vaccines a weekly at this point.
yeah.
It would take like how many
10
years?
years.
10
11.
years to
10
vaccinate
years.
Oh,
all
I was
of
gonna
us.
say that the
You're
current
called
rate
back.
it'll take 11 years to vaccinate is what I
so they
read
got to pick up
about.
the pace because at the rate it's going,
Yeah.
boy, is that not getting to us anytime soon.
I mean,
Right.
and it's not as if we were procuring supplies of, pre-buying the stock stuff that we needed anyway. It's been really bad here in Michigan. We were promised millions of, doses, and it's not even scratching the surface. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I guess I'm looking forward to what's coming next in my life because a lot of good stuff has, risen to the top in this, whether it be something like baggage claim and getting to know new people in my life or just the next
Yeah, I was gonna say-
chapter in whatever we're gonna.
Yeah,
we
'cause
haven't finished season 3 of Twin Peaks yet.
There you
so.
go.
Is the log lady
There
still
you
a thing?
go.
Is the log lady still a thing on Twin Peaks?
We're almost done with season 2. She can't be. She passed away, bud.
Oh man, spoilers for Twin
I
Peaks.
mean, hello, people.
No, honestly,
Not
I've
in
never-
the show,
Spoiler
guys.
alert.
The lady who
Oh, in
plays
real life.
Oh well, press that.
I didn't mean to laugh.
But like Twin Peaks, are you guys watching like the original '90s version or the new one?
We're watching all of them. So we're
But
on.
like that is that the.
So they started with the old. And
Are you
recent.
on the part where it's like modern era or?
No, we haven't gotten to season 3 yet.
Okay.
Season 3 is the one that was released within the last 2 years.
I've only seen the movie. That's all
That's
I
okay.
know about.
Which
And I know the Who Killed Laura Palmer thing, but I've only seen the movie.
that is like the movie comes after the series, and then forget it.
Yeah.
We're almost done with the original canon, and we're going to be moving on to the first movie. And to put it in terms Blair can understand.
It's not canon. New Twin Peaks is not canon. It's not my Twin Peaks.
And the movie would be the prequel, by the way.
It fundamentally is a prequel, but it's don't get all like Pathfinder series on me and start reading things in chronological order.
Oh my god, you guys are just getting ridiculous. Julia, you're up.
You gotta put
What's the question again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Blair just ruined it.
I did not. I'm trying to click it.
What are you looking forward to in 21?
Okay.
Regardless of normalcy.
Regardless of normalcy, I am really looking forward to I got a kayak for Christmas, and so I am going to be I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time outdoors and active, because I, aside from walking my dog, haven't been great about being outdoors during this whole time. And so I think that will really be helpful to get more fresh air and sunshine and help with depressive moods and all that. So I think I'm really looking forward to that. And there's something else I was thinking of, but I can't think of now. And I know we're running out of time, so I'll pass.
Okay, well, you can always just say it when you...
I'll shout it out.
All right.
For me, I think a lot of... I'm ready to leave 2020 behind because of all of the stuff that's happened, both good and bad. What looking forward to in the new year is after I get the vaccine, I'll be able to be less concerned about travel.
Yeah. Sure.
I'd like to be able to. I went to Colorado in September, but there's lots of places in this country that I haven't been to yet. So I'd like to see a lot more, and not be afraid to travel around and worry about being infected by somebody else. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I love that. All right. We're going to go to our last guest, Sherry and Donna.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm trying to, it's kind of a continuation of what I've been working through in this year. When, I used to make jokes about when the pandemic started and especially when everything was shut down at the beginning. And so you had all this time on your hands. And I would make jokes with people. I'd be walking through the neighborhood saying, those things that you always said that you would want, that you would do if you had the time. Now you have the time. And what I'm trying to come to terms with and peace with is some of those things were like aspirational, somehow improving myself, doing something that I never thought I would do. But what I'm finding on a day-to-day basis, even with I immediately thought of all the books or classics or throughout the ages that I should somehow read in this year, and then being coming to terms with realizing, no, I don't really want to spend all my time doing that. And hearing the passion that Blair and Katrina bring to visiting the theme park, it's like, what? That's a really good part of life too. And trying to find that balance, whether it's watching a funny movie with family or having a game night. And so being content to have those connections and to be in the now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and one book I am wanting to read tied directly into that is one that's always seems to be on people whom I respect, their recommended lists. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. That is one book I want to read. So,
A Twitter quote that's kind of relevant to what he said.
Oh yeah, let me just really fast share this Twitter quote that Blair nicely sent me.
It's not my quote.
No, but
But it is a great quote, and I think it's relevant.
So
to
there will
what
be a
Janice
lot
just
of
said.
posts soon with people sharing how much they achieved in 2020 in the midst of a global pandemic, etc. But in case someone needs to hear this, I'm here to tell you that just making it to December 2020 is an achievement. That alone will be something to celebrate. I love that.
oh yeah,
I agree.
Julia
Yeah.
Rock, good, terrific.
That is awesome.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. What about you, Sherry?
I don't know yet. I'm struggling with what it's going to look like and what I'm up for. I don't know. I haven't settled in yet. I'm still sitting here in the post Christmas before New Year's week, and I've been living in my Christmas pajamas and very just quiet. So I am looking forward to January 6th, and I'm looking forward to January 20th, and then
Our niece and nephew.
Our niece and nephew made his mom a countdown to January calendar.
Like a little
you know, like an
advent
advent
calendar.
calendar.
And it's like in little children's crayon till Trump is gone.
Yeah. So honestly, and my sister is and brother-in-law. One of my sisters and brother-in-law are in leaders in national politics, and my sister has promised me lunch with Nancy Pelosi. So I'm looking forward to that, and seeing our country kind of settle down. So then I feel like I can figure out now what I want to do. I don't really. I'm very quiet right now.
Not a bad thing to be, though, either.
Yeah, just happy that we're all alive and well and together. And it's been hard, and I'm exhausted. And so 2021 will kind of unwind itself.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Fingers crossed, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody for joining the show tonight. It's not easy to come on here, and we know that, so we do appreciate it. Does anybody have any final words they want to say before we say goodnight?
Fuck off 2020.
Agreed. Thank you for joining
Well
Fuck
said.
Up 2020. We have links to our Discord in the description. Please join. Please like. Please comment. We love comments. And we'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern for Badger
New
Slam.
Year.
Good night, everybody. And the new year.
Have a happy and safe New Year's.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.